We're going live. And good evening, everyone. What is going on?
Woo-hoo!
It is up, and it's Manifesting Monday. It's amazing. I'm so excited to be here with you ladies. I couldn't wait to see you again. My name is Donna V. This is Kim Mazzella, our professional life coach. And, of course, Tracy Locke. What's up, ladies?
Hey, ladies. I'm so excited. How was your week? Good week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Did you do agreement number 2? Did you work on it?
Always.
Yeah.
You're like, hello, do you know who I'm talking to?
Did I work on it, or did life force me to work on it? Those are the bigger questions.
Exactly. That is the question. The question. Now,
Yep.
D-Money, did you, what's up, Christopher
Let's say
Estray?
hello. Good evening. Good evening.
Woo-hoo!
We're welcoming our guests into our studio. What's going on? We got some peeps coming in to saying hello.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
love that. I love that. No, I was going to say what you did last week I thought was really great is do like a quick snippet. Both of you gave like a quick review of what we talked about last week, and then we dove into the third agreement, which I'm so excited for because it's going to be so challenging. But go ahead. I'm going to give it up to you, ladies, if you want to do like a couple second recap of what we did last week.
Well,
Ooh, look at that. There it
be
is.
impeccable with your, right? You like that, right? She asked for
I
it.
did.
There it is.
Ask for it, you got it.
So number one, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Number 2, don't take anything personally. That's a challenge. Nothing others do is because of you. What others do, what others say and do is a projection of their own reality. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Okay, and then we are working on today the third
Number
agreement, which is, go ahead, drum roll, please.
Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and dramas. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life.
That is a tall order, Kim.
Oh,
that is a tall order. What do you have to say about that third agreement?
Well, I think that the most important thing to understand is that we come into life with this idea about what things mean and what life is and the way things should be. And so we tend to project our beliefs onto other people. So we make assumptions about what people mean. We make assumptions by what they do. We make assumptions by, and we don't even realize we're doing it all day long, right? So it's really hard to recognize that a lot of the times you're making assumptions about meaning based on what you would do, who you are, how you show up in the world. And other people have different experiences. And so what this assumption is, what the third agreement is telling you to do is we've got to ask a lot of questions. And it's hard to even know sometimes the assumptions that you're making. I mean, we've all had conversations with people where you've said, it's one thing, and then someone else has heard it a different way, and you said, but I didn't mean that at all, right? I mean, I know we've all had experiences like that, and we've all been told that by other people. I didn't mean that. That's not what I said. So much of conversation is our own opinion or film,
an interpretation.
Yeah, totally.
Over what's actually going on. So it's like, that's why when I in my course, I always say in every relationship, in every exchange, it's really you meeting yourself, right? But when you're dealing with someone else, you've got to actually meet them. You've got to get to understand them. And I know, like, we're probably all can think of things in our lives right now that are going on because we made assumptions about meaning. And
right. Well, can you talk about that quote that you put up today about meeting yourself? I thought that was great. And if you could delve into that a little before we go press on, because I thought that was such an interesting piece. It was it like hit me, and I'm like, oh boy, that one hit home.
So let's just say what the quote is for everybody that's not privy to being one of Kim's followers.
The one today about meeting yourself when you're in a relationship with someone else. It was like,
every relationship is really about meeting yourself. And first place, you can't even know who you are without other people, right?
I'll find the quote. I'll find it, and I'll see if I can take it down and post it.
Okay. But go ahead, Kim. That's the one I'm talking about.
So Edgar Casey, I don't know if you know who he is. He was
Yep.
like, he was called the like trance. He used to go into trance and tell all these things. But basically, we're constantly figuring out who we are in our exchanges with other people, and we can't understand who we are without others. With it, right? We develop meaning about ourselves. So when someone says something or does something, we have an experience or a reaction. We take it personally. We have a feeling about it, right? But what we're really learning is who we are, not who they are. I mean, we can learn who they are as well, but our reaction tells us more about us, right?
Right.
So, someone might say, "Oh yeah, let's go to that movie," and you were thinking, "Oh," you could think, "Oh, they always get to decide what movie we're going to," and then, or you could think, "I don't want to go to that movie. I don't want to tell them because right." Our one reaction to someone else saying what they want to do tells us so much about who we are. Are we the kind of person who someone else makes a suggestion, we feel we don't have the right to give our own opinion? Someone else makes a suggestion, we feel victimized because they always choose. Someone else makes a suggestion and we feel like we don't have a voice. I mean, so much of the simple exchange tells us who we are and what we need to learn. I cannot tell you how often I've been in life coaching sessions where someone tells me something that goes on, one sentence of something, and they're expecting to get to the actual point. And I stop them right there and I said, "Do you hear what just happened?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'll say, "Do you hear how they said this and you made an assumption about this and this created the drama?" And they're like, "Oh no, but they really meant this." And I say, "No, you don't know that. I mean, maybe they did, but how do you know that?" Right. So did you find my quotes?
I did. I found it. I'm getting it up for us.
She is amazing. Well, then let me ask you the first question while Donna's doing she's technical guru.
I really am a technical guru.
You are a technical guru. Kim, so how do you prep yourself to have no assumptions? I mean, I know it sounds like impossible, right?
Well, that's here's the great thing that I do in my class courses. One of the things that you have to say to yourself is, what must a person believe to have that experience? What must a person, you really have to dig down and try to figure out, how did I come up with that? And Byron Katie, is that her name? She always has this thing that she says, is that true? Do I know if it's ultimately true? That's a question. Is that true? Or do I know if that's ultimately true? And so often we just go through life from assumption to assumption, taking things personally, without even knowing if they're really ultimately true. And so this is why we really have to, if you really want to come into life with no assumptions, you have to assume that person. Really, your job is to get to know the other person with a whole bunch of questions, right? We have to talk to each other, communicate, which is really hard to do, especially in the age of looking at your phone all the time.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Let me see if this works. Then you cannot understand yourself alone.
That's great, but that's not the one. But I love it. I think that was you get applause for just doing it, Donovan. I don't care.
You know what? I wasn't on Facebook all day. That's the only one that I saw. Let me look it up. Keep going.
You're so good. That's so good. I assumed that you knew which one we were talking about.
Isn't that funny?
Then it was all me.
But you know what's funny? Because that is such a very true statement too. That really hit me today. You really can't understand yourself alone. So it really kind of struck me as because a lot of times people are not in relationships for a long time, right? You're single for a long time, or whatever the case may be. And it's not until you start to talk to somebody else that you're like, oh wow, maybe I am judgmental. Maybe I am this, maybe I am that. And I will tell you that working on all that stuff is a lot of work.
Yeah. It is a lot of work. And that's what I'm asking. It's like, where do you even start with going into something and trying not to assume?
Now, I have to ask a question before you guys get back into it, because I don't want to look for it. The only thing that matters is the love you give away. The universe will always send you gifts. I'm seeing all of these beautiful.
They're all great.
They're all beautiful. But the only one that I'm seeing from today is you cannot understand yourself alone.
Maybe I'm wrong. See, I made that assumption. But I read what
it's at the top. In every relationship, you meet yourself. Every relationship is an opportunity for you to learn to love yourself. And so, Don, I just want to say something really quickly. Relationship is something that we have with everything that's outside of us. So we have a relationship with money. We have a relationship with the person at the checkout. We have a relationship with our body. Relationship is everything that is outside of your mind is something that you're in relationship with. So if you're not like in a personal relationship, an intimate love relationship, you can still get to know yourself if you go out in the world.
Yeah.
Second, what were you going to say, Donna?
But it's
No,
like a
but
microscope, a new
saying is-
person, right?
So okay, ready? Here we go. This is very funny not funny, but like, it's amazing that you just posted this, Frank Simon. I'm going to make this larger so that people can see it.
You're like, I'm feeling your pain, Frank Simon.
What if you're single to the point where you become comfortable and have a hard time being with someone else? And that is this is like, he read my mind, and that's not exactly what I was saying, but that's damn close enough.
But here's
go ahead, Kim.
Okay, so if you're at a point where you love hanging out with yourself, which is exactly where we should be, right? You may not be right now for an intimate relationship. I think that's really healthy. Then stay in that place. If you feel like you're becoming a hermit and don't want to go out and that's a different thing, right?
Right.
But if you're just really enjoying your life, you'll know if you're happy. You'll know because you can tell you feel content, right? I know my mother had like an entire year in her life where she said, I just didn't want to go out. I just wanted to hang out. And this is way pre-pandemic. And eventually what she found was that she wanted to venture back out into the world again, to meet people again, to hang out with her friends, to spend time. I think that if you are craving something, if you love just like hanging out, I mean, think about writers, they go off and write for months at a time and we don't judge that. We don't say there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I think that if you really enjoy being single, be single. That's okay. When you should be with other people, you'll start to crave it. I think we naturally end up where we should be. I think that, if you are by yourself all the time and are unhappy, that's another thing, right?
Right.
But I do think what will happen is we may not create intimacy, but we start to create relationship. But it could take years. Sometimes we just need, I don't know, to hermit. It's okay.
And going with the theme of don't always assume that friends that you know that are single are dying to be coupled up. And I have to say, I've learned from speaking to people that, during the quarantine, and I'm like, you guys are so lucky. You don't even realize it. You're coupled up. You get to be home with somebody. And more people than not have said, like, what you have looks pretty good yourself. So like, that was right with the don't make assumptions.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I do think there are some spikes in divorce rates in China. I know there were, I don't know about America, but they said in China there were spikes in divorce rates because of really, like, we're usually on the go and we don't really have to sit with people for that long and get to really know them. I mean, isn't it crazy? You could be married to someone and not really know them, because intimacy has nothing to do with just spending time with, just living in the same space with someone. Because my ex-husband and I lived in the same space for like 14 years and we barely knew each other, but actually we know each other better now than we did when we lived with each other.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. Well, now's the time where you're exposed to someone 24/7 if you're in the house with them. And so you're seeing every facet. You're seeing you're also seeing what I thought your quote was so great is how your decisions affect them. Like you're seeing so the things that annoy you about them are like a direct reflection, I'm sure, of you. Like there's certain hot buttons where you say to yourself, why is that such a hot button with me? Like, why is that so annoying that whatever X is, right? And then just go, like, it's like my reaction to it is so over the top for what it is. You're just like, why is it like that?
And, great questions you can go do is take yourself back. What's the first time I felt this feeling? That's a question that I'll ask. And if you can go into meditation, you could see like the journey. You might be able to, you might even ask yourself this question, what is this triggering? And go into meditation, just like get quiet. And you could think, what is it that I'm supposed to learn? Right? What is it I'm supposed to learn?
Yeah.
One of the things I always find so interesting is I'll be in session with people and they'll be like, well, you don't do that anymore, do you? Because you've been doing this work for so long. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Right? The universe doesn't stop giving you lessons. It gives you better teachers, right? So my teachers aren't abusive anymore. My teachers are great teachers, are good people. What happens is I learn my judgment I mean, my judgment hasn't gone away just because I've really been meditating every day.
Right.
I still have stuff I got to work through, right? So, but what happens is it's not like, I always say this, if we are in growth mode, right? If we are in growth mode, we will go up a set of staircase, like we'll go up a set of stairs and we'll fall down. We'll go up the set of stairs, fall down. We'll go up the set of stairs and we'll get to the top. And then you know what's up there? Another set of stairs.
Yes, I do know that.
Right? And then you fall down and you go up and fall down. So you never really fall down to your first level one. You fall down to whatever level you want, but every fall hurts just as bad, right? So
Right.
some of them don't. Like, I don't know. Some of them don't. Like, I think if you've been brokenhearted in a way that you were broken, you learn how never to be broken again. Does that make sense? Because
Yes.
you can learn how to be hurt and not broken. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. What else is it that we can discuss though about the don't make assumptions? Like, where in your life, Tracy, have you, like, where can you connect to the
God, the third, I connect to it on every facet of my life. For instance, so professionally as a comedian, obviously, how many times have I know you've done it, I've done it, where you go in and you see an audience and you're like, they're going to want X, Y, and Z. And you change your material around based on what you think they're going to like. And then you end up screwing yourself because they like the stuff that you took out, or they react to things you think they wouldn't react to, because you're just assuming because they're a certain demographic or a certain age group that they're going to want something. And instead of just going with your instinct and presenting who you actually are, you try to cater to who you think they're going to be. And your assumption ends up screwing you up. And I can't tell you how many times I've met people and just based on their look, I assume things about them. Like if someone, like if I had a friend who's an extremely attractive woman, like she looks like a model. And I was like, oh, she's going to be a witch. I just assumed that, right? And she turned out to be one of the nicest people I've ever met. And you just say to yourself, why would I assume that? Why would I assume that?
Kim, why would we assume that?
Well, I mean, isn't it true that because we see things through the filter of our life? It's interesting because there was a time in my life where I really wanted to talk to psychics. Like I wanted someone to predict the future for me. And I, read energy. So the energy flows in a certain direction. And one of the things I learned is whoever you're speaking to, you will get the film of what their belief system and what they have to say to you. Right. So if they see the world as an evil place, they're going to tell you about all the evil things that are going to happen to you. And if they see the world as a safe place, they're going to tell you about all the safe things that are going to happen to you. I really do believe we create our future, right? And I had to go through that journey almost to get to what I already knew, right? But one of the things I do think is that there's two platforms, right? And so one platform is the ego mind or fear. Right. And fear creates levels of things. So our mind is used to creating different levels of things. We put people in categories because categories in the ego mind make us feel safe. So if we see a really beautiful person, that we have put them in that category of that beautiful person, and we make assumptions in that category about the great life that they must have, right? And if we see someone who is not as beautiful, we might put them in another category and make assumptions about the life they may have. This is just a natural thing that the ego mind or the fear mind does. So I think that one of the things that we need to do in the asking of questions, in the allowing the universe, like if you're going in with certain stuff and you want to change it based on what you see with your eyes, one of the things that we have to say is what I see with my eyes is not true, right? What I see with my eyes is not true. And that is why when like in an energy reading, you don't really want to look at the person because what you see with your eyes is not true. Like you want to close your eyes almost and just feel, right? What were you going to say, Donna?
No, it's just, this is really like hitting somebody, bing, 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 bing. Like we always assume that pit bulls are dangerous and they're horrific creatures. And some people that I know that have rescued pit bulls, they're the most peaceful, sweet, kind dogs I've ever met. That's number one. The other thing is that is one of I think the biggest trip ups in online dating is we all make assumptions because you sit there and, you can talk to somebody for weeks, months, whatever. But if you don't see them, you put in your mind what the fantasy is that you want to put into that person. You know,
Right.
you know what I mean? So like, that's just one other thing that kind of came to my mind is like, you can't help it, like, but put a label on somebody or what you want a relationship to be. And that's where I think assuming that everybody's going to fit into that cookie cutter mold that's the trip up for a lot of us.
And you know what's a huge trip up that
somebody's got to turn down their volume though. There's a huge echo.
Is it me? Hold on. Can you hear me now?
I think it is. Take them out. Just take them out and see what happens.
No, I hear it. It's like someone else is talking.
Maybe there's a ghost.
No, I'm serious.
You hear it with me because there's nothing I can do. I have no headset.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that better?
I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's like a video killed the radio star. Radio killed the radio.
I don't hear it, so it's got to be me.
It's not. I think it's Tracy's because when you're talking, Tracy, I hear it.
So, do you want me to put my headphones back in?
I don't know.
Because you can't hear it now, right? I'm talking now, but I don't hear it.
Like just stay like that. Let's hope for the best.
Okay, but I don't hear it now.
Okay.
Maybe our lines get crossed. Now I hear it, right? I heard it again. It just went.
Now you're fine.
Okay. Anyway, one of the things that I've deleted all my apps. I was like, what?
His abs.
Your abs. Don't delete your abs. We're all looking at your abs, Frank Simon. Please don't delete
my abs.
Yeah, but one thing I was going to say about assumptions, which I think is really interesting, especially when you're an intuitive person and you're really into people, is hard not to assume based on facial expressions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've met someone and just their facial cues I've made so many assumptions about, and I was dead wrong. I was like so far from what they were thinking based on what their face was telling me. And again, I think it's from doing comedy. You're so used to trying to read people and see what their reactions are that you like. The first thing I do is look for visual cues on people, you know?
I know that my ex-husband and my daughter are both very, I don't know how to explain it, stoic, I guess, deadpan. Like literally, like if my daughter's laughing, you wouldn't know it because like she's just like, when a scary movie, she's like exactly the same. Oh, someone can hear the echo.
You can hear it now? Or wait, let me try the headphones.
It's Tracy's. I don't know what it is today.
All right, let me see something. I might have something else on. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying, Kim. Sorry, let's see.
So one of the things that I know is it used to in my marriage, I really used to struggle because often I thought my ex-husband was angry when he was just bored, right? Like, or just like not paying attention or off in the wood. And then I'd be like, I'd start a fight and he'd be like, you're not start a fight, but like dig. Be like, I wasn't even paying attention to what you were talking about because he was deadpan all the time, right? So very, very stoic. And I notice it in my daughter too. I guess, you know, like those things are, and she's not rude or unkind. She just tends to have a very, you know, and I'm incredibly expressive. You know, if I like something or don't like something right away. I'm like the worst at poker, you know, like I can't help it.
They call that, there's RBF, resting.
Yeah.
That's totally my daughter. I love her to death, but she just looks pissed off all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's also, I think, a big issue people find with texting. There's a lot of assuming that comes out of texting.
Right. And especially like, what if we don't know if someone gets called away, right? And then you put out something and then you don't hear from the person. You're like, oh, they're mad at me. Oh, what did I say? And they're like, oh, I had to get called out of the room, right? I mean, you don't know. You don't know. But I really do think that texting is a terrible, terrible way to communicate. And it's what our kids do all the time. I mean, my children are 17 and 16, and it's like they don't really know how to. I feel like it kills communication skills a lot of times because they're used to like snappy comebacks and not really delving in, because you don't do that in text. So when you have conversations, it's almost like they speaking in abbreviations. And I'm like, you've got to, extend that a little bit so that we can understand.
Exactly. Exactly. That's hard. And I would
did a very funny joke about that. And in her set, and she does this thing about how texting is so, now I'm paraphrasing, but it was like so perfect. She's like, texting is so crazy. No one back in the day would pick up the phone and be like, hey, how are you? Click. And then, bring, I'm doing good. How about you? Like
Donna, when you're talking, I hear the echo. Do you have headphones?
I do, but now you.
I hear the echo when you're talking because I wasn't talking.
I don't know what's happening here, kids.
I think we have a ghost. I think we have a ghost of assumptions.
That's
I think
fine.
The ghost of
I'm okay with it.
Is here. Ooh.
Is that better?
Okay, yeah, I don't hear anything. Do you hear? Do you hear an echo?
I don't
There's
hear
no weird feedback, right? There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just forge forward.
Okay. Yeah, no, so that's one of the things I definitely assume when people make facial expressions like Donna's face, I'm assuming she's annoyed right now. See, I'm making that assumption. But no, I definitely do that. And that's one of the things I'd like to train myself to kind of not, you know what it is? It's also being a little bit of a know-it-all. When you're like a know-it-all, you think you can read somebody and you think you're going to have an advantage. So if you make the assumption ahead of time and kind of see what angle you have to come at that person, how you have to come at that person, you think you're giving yourself an advantage when actually you're probably putting yourself at a disadvantage, which is something I'm learning. Rick, try to be a blank slate. As hard as that is, I guess my question is, where would you even start? I mean, other than just being cognizant of when you go into a meeting, just try to be a blank slate.
So there's this great thing called the Course in Miracles, and it gives you all these lessons, and you do the lessons once a week, right? Once a day, right? So I'm on my 4th set of doing the lessons, believe it or not. Now there's 365 of them, but I had years where I didn't do them, and so they start you out by breaking you down. Like the lesson 1 means nothing I see means anything, right? And the idea is, and they make you look at things. Nothing I see here means anything. And then it makes you go out in the world. This doesn't mean anything. And then it makes you say, like, then the next day you'll say, I have given this the meaning that it has. Like the idea is that we give meaning to everything. And if you can start to break that down and understand, like, and so you actually do meditations every day for like the first 30 days saying, I don't know what any of this means, right?
Right.
And then then you allow like higher minded to give meaning. You ask questions. You start to recognize, I don't know what any of this means. And if you pay attention to when you're feeling bad, right? So I always say you don't have to pay attention if you're feeling happy, right? Live in ignorance is bliss, right? If you're in a good space, why bother doing the work? I'm really, honestly, no one comes to me because they're so happy.
That's so true. Ooh, Dr. Nieves is here. What's up, Dr. Nieves?
Dr. Nieves! What's up, Dr. Joe? That's so amazing. Well, Donna, you must see it when you're just dealing with clients. You know what I mean? Like you could feel their energy and assume where they're going, like, do you ever somebody walks in and you're like, oh, or you know what I'm saying? Like you assume that it's going to go one way and then it happily does not and goes a totally different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That happens. You know, I think that, that happens in a lot of businesses, you know, or
every business, every job.
Yes. And he says, that's the theory of Dr. Deepak Chopra.
Is just assume nothing, like just go in clean slate. Is that what we're talking about?
Is that what you're saying, Dr. Nieves? But you know what's challenging with that? Well, everything's challenging with it. Everything's challenging with it. One of the things that earlier on when we were discussing, you know, relationship and you have to ask questions and things like that because you want to get rid of the assumption. It's like you're hoping that the other person A is honest, B that they're willing to be vulnerable, because that's one of the biggest, and I think, challenges of being not assuming. But that's also because maybe I'm saying what I would feel, which is that maybe I'm nervous about being vulnerable. I don't really know. I don't think there's a way that you can't assume something about something.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, you're making a judgment. You're an adult. That's what you've had to do your whole life, is make discerning judgments. Either the situation feels like it's going to be good, or it's like, I guess that's a question to you, Kim. What's the difference between listening to signals and assuming, right? So you ever be in a situation where everything looks like it's supposed to be great for whatever reason, and you get into it and you're like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is. I assume that it would be perfect because either this person is perfect on paper or this job is perfect on paper. And then I get in there and it just feels weird. And it's like, at what point do you say you're making a weird assumption where it's, I guess my question is sometimes I would be worried that my assumption is fear-based, right? Like I don't want to push something out because of fear, but at the same time, how do you know if your body is giving you a signal or if you're just scared?
Well, you don't, but you do the work. So like, you don't always know. Like sometimes, like I know for the longest time, I made this assumption about certain people in my kids' life. Like, like you have to go to games and stuff. My kids always play sports, and there's the sports moms, right? And I always made these assumptions about how the sports moms viewed me, right? Like I just did, right? And it never felt, but when it started feeling bad, I had to say, is this fear or is it true? And you don't know. But the question that you could, then you start asking yourself questions. What is it I'm seeing? What is it I'm experiencing? And the other thing that you want to do is remember that fear is always based on what you're thinking. So there's always a more empowering way to see something. It doesn't really matter. Here's the truth. The goal is to feel content or better, right? That's always the goal. So truly, you can't walk around going, what are you thinking about me? What are you thinking? You just can't do that. You can't walk up to people and be like, so I was wondering, what do you think about me?
Enough about me. Why don't you talk about me?
Yeah, because that's a dangerous way to live too. I mean, you can't live based on somebody else's opinion of you.
Exactly. So the job is I am feeling bad, right? So always pivoting. I'm feeling unhappy. I'm feeling less than content, which always means I'm thinking a thought that is out of alignment with my true self. Always.
Wow.
What am I thinking? What do I want? Right. So, so I'm thinking that these people don't like me. Well, maybe I don't like them, right? Maybe I have to spend some time thinking nice thoughts about them, focusing on what I like about them. Maybe if I start, because what that fear does is it makes us separate, right?
Yes.
So I'm no longer connected to these soccer moms, even though my kids never play soccer, but let's call them that. And so I put a wall between me and them because I care all of a sudden what they think about me. But the better thing to do would be for me to send them what I want to create. So I might send them each blessings, right? Like, oh, I hope that you're lifted up in light. I hope that you love your job today. I hope you go to work today and you feel lifted and feel content and happy. It's a better use of your time. And remember, the universe will always give you back what you give away. Right. So if I'm sitting there worried about what you think about me, I'm going to get more of that. But if I sit there and I make assumptions about, oh, my job is actually to give you blessings, and what a blessing is send you energy of what I want to create, really, because a blessing is for both the giver and the receiver. Right. So if I send you, abundance, I'm sending myself abundance too. But isn't it nice that you and I both win? It's always a win-win. Right. So So I think about a person that I might be seeing today and I send them some blessings in my head. It's a better way to live. You're not at the whim of you don't have to no longer have to care what they think about you, because it's more important what you think and give to them. And if you always understand that the rule is to have, give all to all, like that's the rule, to have, give all to all. The second rule is to have peace, teach peace to learn it. And what that means is demonstrate peace in all that you do. So honestly, living from a much more empowered place is spending your time giving away what you want instead of trying to receive it, instead of trying to create a feeling from what someone thinks of you, instead of creating a feeling from what you give to them. That makes sense?
That's awesome.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, isn't it? And especially because sometimes I just want to be small and play small and throw a tantrum and stand in a corner and just be mad.
Or just sit at the game and watch the game and not care what the Karens are doing to the left and right of you. It's like, because you never know, you could be the Karen.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying too, not always, I'm not even talking about not always people. I'm saying situationally. So you know how sometimes you assume things are going to go a certain way. It has nothing to do with people. It's like, say you're starting a new job and you walk in and you're like, oh God, this is going to be horrible. You just get a feeling. And then you say to yourself, am I assuming this right now? Or am I actually listening to a signal that that my body or the higher power or whatever is trying to give me? Does that make sense to you? Where you've been in scenarios, the scenario that everybody uses is you're walking down a street and you get a weird feeling. Do you know what I mean? And you need to pay attention to that. It has nothing to do with people. It's just like a feeling that comes to you.
Yeah, you're saying how to differentiate or discern between a gut feeling of something because you're intuitively picking up on energy, or are you actually assuming it because you are, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, like subconsciously.
You're projecting. Are you projecting, or are you being, emotionally intellectual?
Yes.
It doesn't matter, because this is what matters more. We do pick up on each other's vibes. We do, right? Like, because thoughts are contagious, right? That's why I say it's very important. And you can only catch them if you're aligned with them, right? So if someone is on a bridge and having a terrible, fearful thought, and you like overcome your fear of being on bridges, and all of a sudden you're on the bridge and you got a fearful thought, it's because some part of you is still aligned with fear on bridges, right? So you catch their thought like a cold, right?
Okay.
The more important thing is your decision about how you want to feel right now. Because first place, you can't go into someone's head and say, did you just send me a scary thought? You also can't go into someone's head and say, how do you feel about me? Or but you can always feel a more empowering thought. The most important thing is always your alignment with you, right? It's never what they think. It's always your alignment with you. So I always say, and I'm constantly saying to clients, it doesn't really matter. I don't care what you think, as long as you're happy or content or better. And instead I don't care what you think. It's like, we don't have to work on it, because if you're feeling content, it doesn't really matter. Like if you're at the game and you're enjoying the game and you don't notice the Karens, good for you, rock on. But if you're starting to notice or feeling bad, that's when you're working. That's when you have your work. And we don't always want to do the work. Sometimes I just want to be pissed off. I do.
No, I hear you.
I just want to say a snarky comment.
Dr. Nieves is like let me just say this. I have to give him some acknowledgement, because he is putting out so many messages, and I don't want him to think we're ignoring him. It's just,
go ahead, read them out. Don't chase anyone around you, accept them as they are.
Be aware and give gifts and accept what it gives you. Give good thoughts to all around you. He's basically being our male Kim today. Kim is the opposite of a Karen. Just so you know, we've already coined that phrase here. Be a Kim, don't be a Karen. Actually, I just did that right now. Don't change anyone around you, accept them as they are, so you don't waste energy. Appreciate everyone as they are and spread love. And that's it. And then my mom, I have to say, my mother, we're guruizing my mother. What did she write? If they got to know you, they may like you, like yourself, and others will see the goodness in you.
Right. Awesome. That is very true. I mean, that's like the bottom line.
Right. I think that people are going to see or like you that are supposed to like you. Like, you can't take, like a magnet and put it up to a wooden board. It's got to go onto a refrigerator. It's like the pot for a lid. There's a magnet for a fridge. I always say that because energy is more of a magnet, and two magnets together really are very resistant. And I feel like there are people that have that energy. One of the things that's interesting is when you meet somebody in a room, like for instance, let's just say we're at a comedy show, and you and I, Tracy, we have crazy good energy together. We always do. And then we walk in and we see two other people that are crazy good energy together. We're like, oh, that's our role. We're the crazy good energy girls. So like, we can't play down to that. We have to be like, look, there's a tag team of us. Like, but it's hard because ego, right? You don't want to assume or be jealous and be like, hey, that's what we're doing. It's weird. Like, life is so trippy like that.
I know.
Well, the other thing is that, like, I think about my sister. Like, she's 15 months younger than me, and we grew up like this, right? Like, we have a love-hate relationship, very, very close, always in each other's face. But like, we'll do everything together. She took me to Paris for my 50th birthday. She's a really good sister.
Wow.
But it is really hard for us to have a conversation because we have so many years of history, right? So she'll say something, and how do I not make an assumption about meaning, right? Because we've had a lot of drama throughout our 50 years of friendship. And it's really hard, especially with family members that you have a long-term relationship, to not like be like, oh, well, you meant this. So sometimes, like with her, I really have to say, I heard you just say blah, blah, blah. And I made an assumption you just said blah, blah, blah. And she'll be like, I didn't mean that. And sometimes I think she did.
And you're like, I'm going to call you on that.
But that's a good point to bring up because go ahead, you go.
No. What I was going to say as a practical thing that I just got out of that was actually mirroring and saying to them what I heard you say was, and what I assumed you meant was. I think that's really healthy. That's very hard to do, but I think that's a pretty smart way to do it, because then it's like you were saying exactly what you heard and how you interpreted it, and it's up to that person to be like, yeah, I didn't mean that way, or yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Yeah, but I think that's a really good practical way to deal with it. You know what I mean?
And it is the way to deal with it. The only problem is that you have to have a fearless interchange with someone who's willing to be honest.
You really do, because I could see myself, my brother's coming home, I'll be like, I heard you say this, and I am assuming you meant this, and like it turns into a hockey fight.
Right, exactly.
You know, but this is the perfect. No, but this is the perfect part to like ask this question.
Okay.
With the holidays coming up now, I think there are going to be a lot of assumptions. One being, and I really want to say this, and I know my mom's watching, so there's a buffer between us called the internet. Thank you very much. One of them being, there's a lot going on right now where there's spikes with COVID, and I'm being really careful. Yes, I am performing comedy out, and I'm spraying the microphone, and I'm wearing a mask. Other than that, but my point is, it's outside. I am not comfortable going indoors yet without a mask. With people I haven't been around, and I have to be really cautious. So it's going to not sound really nice when I say Thanksgiving, I'm not having my usual open house, because I just had the conversation with my daughter last night. Just because we're related does not mean COVID's like, they know each other, we'll leave them alone. And I am really nervous, and I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit intense when I have to say to everybody, I don't know what's going to happen for the holidays, but I can't have people that have not been around me in my little circle just all of a sudden they had like the circle, dot, they had the COVID shot, and we're sharing a dinner together.
Okay. Can I life coach this for a second?
Please. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing is that you are bringing your assumption into this, right? And you are a creator. So I think the thing is that if you say it's going to be drama, it will be. And of course. Now that doesn't mean it won't be drama, but you get to decide how you're going to experience this. So first place, you got to prepave it. Thank you, universe. This is how I'd like it to go, and start seeing it like that. And so prepaving means you make a decision about what you want it to look like, right? Before it happens. You can't prepave as you're doing it. And you say, I would like an exchange where everybody feels loved, everybody feels safe, everybody understands, or at least I feel comfortable. You can't decide for others, but I say it in such a way that everybody understands, or that I feel that I conveyed my message of love and intention and health, right? And I'm going to have a really wonderful holiday, and we will find a way to connect in ways that may not be present. Maybe you'll have a Zoom holiday or something like that, because people do that too. And it's going to be different, but it's going to be great, right? You're just going to it's going to be different, but it's going to be great. We're going to figure out a way to make everybody feel included and loved. Thank you, universe. Put that out to the universe. And
I'm going to play this back and say it over and over and over. And it's interesting because my mother said, totally understandable, not offended at all. I think it is smarter just to say healthy. But you know what's great? The internet helped that conversation. So don't assume the internet's all bad people.
Right.
My aunt said, I don't know what we're doing for Christmas this year either. And I think a lot of people
does.
Going through that. But here's Dr. Nieves. Oh, yes, we are peaking again by November 25th. Standard colds and flu as well as corona. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, I love this. Anna Lupinacci. Oh, she's having Thanksgiving next week outdoors.
That's smart.
Brilliant.
That's a really smart idea.
Our Thanksgiving is going from like 25 to like 5.
Yeah. I mean, you have to really take it seriously. And this COVID is such a huge lesson in assuming. Because I mean, it is huge for me anyway, because again, I don't realize how much I assume that people think the same way I do. So I'll assume that people are doing what I'm doing, and then I have a talk with them, and it's like getting hit with a door, like, holy crap. I don't know. It's just, you just really get to see it. You really get to see that everyone does not think the way you do, even if you think they do, meaning your inner circle. Even if you think your inner circle is thinking the way you do, it's like, you can't assume that. You can't assume that.
Dr.
No, we cannot. No, we cannot.
I'm working on Black Friday, as I always do.
I went go shopping on Black Friday last year. I did a great job online on my couch.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think they're not going to have Black Friday. I heard that on something. Yeah. Just love me over the phone.
But here's the thing, like, bro, just so you know, Black Friday does just as well online. I thought online last year, and there wasn't COVID, and I loved it. I did all.
Well, I think they said, I was listening to NPR, and they said they're not going to do Black Friday. Like, a lot of stores will not be open. They're not going to be open Thanksgiving. They're not going to be open Black Friday. They're not going to be open Christmas. I think it's great.
I think it's great too. I think it's sad that I had to take a pandemic for people to not have to work on a holiday. And I work a lot of holidays, and I work, you know, I'm like Christmas Eve, I'll be working, and Thanksgiving Eve, which to most people is not a holiday, but in my family it is because of divorce. That's the day that I did stuff with my kids, and now I'm working until 5 o'clock because I have nowhere else to put people.
Right. Yeah, totally get that.
So, I honestly want to just mention one thing that I wrote down about assuming, because we didn't talk about it. And there, in the book, he writes this: real love is allowing people to be who they are. And if you want to change them, you do not really love them. Hello, where did everybody go?
I did that on purpose.
She's just
I wanted you to be the highlight, Kim. She went, hello.
It's a shout out. It's a spotlight shout out.
That was so cool.
That was some technical moves, Kim. Come on.
Kim, I'm trying to make this like big time.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Kim. So
Check it out.
That resonates so much with me when you say, if you try to change someone, you don't love them. And I'm like, oh my God, does that mean I've never loved anyone ever? Because I am the queen of like, oh, I could change that. I could change that. I have to change that. And I know it's got to be all about me. Like, the changing and the control issues are mine, I'm sure. But wow, that really resonates with me. I'm like, wow, I have so much work to do.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. It is really hard to not make assumptions and to not want to change somebody. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree with him. I analyze people. I do it all the time. I analyze people. I analyze situations. Again, trying to get, obviously I'm learning right now, trying to get control or the upper hand. Like, you think, oh, I know what this person's all about. I know how to handle this. Guess what?
But here's the big thing in that is that if you are trying to change someone, it is always, because remember what I said, let's go back. You meet yourself in relationship. It's always about you. It's always about what a fear that you have. It's so like, when we just allow people to be okay, right, that we're giving ourselves a break. Right.
Yes, we're giving ourselves a break, but what if it's like almost like a compulsion, and you find yourself doing it all the time, and you're like, oh my God, whoa.
You know what?
Nelly.
Suzanne Stein is here.
Hey, Suzanne
Stein is here.
Look,
she said, did you say don't try to change people?
She's like, good luck.
Thing. I've been doing this studying all this stuff for a really long time. I don't think it's gotten easier. I actually feel like it's gotten harder. So it doesn't mean like the lessons just go away just because you know them.
That's exactly what you're reading my mind, because I think when you were younger, you were more malleable, and you were more like, you would meet somebody and they'd be like, I like rock and you like disco. And you'd be like, oh, I like rock too. I think that it might not have been completely genuine, but you were more apt to want to change because you wanted to fit into that person's mold, where the opposite is true. As you get older, you can if you want to. And if you do, then that's a different conversation. But I know for me, one of my biggest and greatest challenges, and I say it all the time, is people, and I mean this with total love, and people say this to me all the time. You do so much. I was talking to Dawn tonight or texting with Dawn and, or I'm running home I literally just left the salon from working there with a workman, like trying to fix some stuff. And it's like, everybody comments to me at work, clients, coworkers, you just do too much. And I'm like, well, thanks a lot. But, I do what I think suits my needs and my lifestyle. And now I don't know, am I doing it for a reason so I don't have to do something else? I don't know, but that's who I am. People assume that I'm tired or I don't want to do it, or I'm like, I actually just like it.
And you have a lot of energy. You need to stay busy or else you'll probably jump off.
I'm like that large-sized dog that needs more than just a yard to poop in. Like, somebody better walk me for miles. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You need a lot of walks.
Yeah, you're like, I need to walk. I need to go to the dog park. I need balls thrown at me. You need the whole thing. You're like, this is about right on, dead on. Okay, let me ask you a question, Kim, that has to do with what you just said. So, okay, I'm going to give you an example from my life that I struggle with all the time. So that in my relationship, one of my hot buttons that I think is I know it's minor, but it's so major to me. And I'm like, what is wrong with me that I can't let it go? So I am like OCD neat, right? I'm OCD neat. And then it's like not, I don't care what friends do, whatever. I don't care. But it's like, if I'm in a relationship with you and you're not neat, it makes me bananas because it feels like it's a reflection of me to me. Right. I'm like, that's a reflection of me. Your room looking like that, it's a reflection on me. It gives me anxiety when I walk in there because I feel
Chris, if you need help getting out, I'll send a car.
He's stuck in his room. He can't get out. He's trying to
He's not allowed out. I have it rigged. If the room is not neat, he's not getting the lock off the door.
But here's the thing. Here's the rub. That's crazy. I used to be a slob. When I was younger, I was a total slob. Total slob.
You've given a lot of meaning to that. Like, you've decided that makes you safe, right? So your safety is wrapped up with how neat everything looks, right? So the appearance of things you've given meaning to, right?
Okay.
So I mean, if I was life coaching you, I would say when you'd see a mess, you'd say, you could still clean it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that.
I don't clean it. I just close the door and say,
but you say a crappy comment. I release you, because now this goes into understanding what forgiveness is, which is detaching from the experience and keeping the lesson. So you could say, I recognize that I have something to learn here. I forgive you and I release you, because what you've given meaning to things being in order, and you feel unsafe when things are not in order. And so in any situation where it makes you uncomfortable, there's a piece of healing that needs to be done. So this is like a great healing opportunity for you if you want to take it, or you can just close the door and walk away. But the truth of the matter is if you could, when you no longer feel that, you've healed from it, right? It's no longer a reflection on you. When you allow things to be, because remember, when you give another person a break, you get a break. You don't have to live by such high standards. I mean, so your standards probably wipe you out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Make you a little tired, like, because you have to be so perfect.
What? Yeah. Exactly.
I just want my own apartment right now.
Yeah.
That's what
But do you know what I mean? Where you, like, something will set you off and you're like, whoa, why is that setting me off? Everybody has a different hot button of whatever it is, but it's so interesting. And you're saying in the lesson and learning a lesson and really taking a step back, it's not easy.
Sebastian Maniscalco, do you ever see him? Like, we talk about.
Yes, I love him.
And he talks about, like, how in the beginning you love somebody so much and you're like, oh, I love you. And, like, the person farts and you're like, oh, that's so cute. And then, like, you're in the bathroom and you're watching them brush their teeth and you're like, I'm going to kill you. Like, if you brush your teeth like that one more second. And the way they're brushing their teeth is just grossing you out.
Yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think there's so many people that are going through that right now because of COVID. And my mother, I closed plenty of doors with Donna and Peter were growing up. I wasn't allowed to have anything out of place in my room, which is why my sense of freedom as an adult was making a mess. And now I'm paying for it because that's what I taught my kids. And now I just want my house to be neat and there's stuff.
Right.
When they were both in college, it was a different world.
Right. So how do you deal with it practically though, Donna? Really, how do you deal with it?
I work 50 hours a week. So basically by the time I come home, I fall asleep.
Okay, but if you had to confront, if you had to deal with it, if you have to be there, so say you have the weekend off, let's just make a crazy scenario, and you walk into your living room and dining room and it's a mess, right? How do you handle that without getting angry?
I just do it. I
Right,
put music
you don't
on.
get resentful? Because I'm the person that's like, friggle, fraggle, friggle, fraggle, friggle, fraggle, while I'm cleaning it. You know what I mean? Who's got a million comments as I'm cleaning it. And
I look at it like this. I look at it like this right now. I have more books in this house than the libraries in my neighborhood. And I know that really it's not probably normal, but it's going to not always be here. The rest of it, I look at it like this. Also, that would become my only argument. And I really like the peaceful life I live. And I work with Courtney and we live together. And I want to make it peaceful and loving. I'm not kidding.
No,
And
I know.
I would rather have an amazing relationship where they're like, what do we order in for dinner? You can eat with us, than me going like, than them saying, oh my God, my mom's home. Let's go lock ourselves away. I like it right now. If we were having people over, totally different story. I'd be like, batten down the hatches, bitches. We got to clean this house in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? But right now, we're all living to the best of our ability and we're getting along as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. I don't really know. I pick my battles and that's just not the battle I'm going to pick.
That's great. Kim, what do you do?
Well, first place, my kids are naturally neat, so I'm very lucky.
Yes, you're good. But I'm saying if you had a hot button issue, whatever it would be.
They do leave dishes in the sink, and I just put them like. There's times where I'll make them come down and do the dishes in the sink. That's like annoying when you come home from work and there's like 700 dishes in your sink. But you know, sometimes I'll leave them little notes like, please remember, put your dishes away. They just don't do that. But thankfully, the rest of my house is pretty clean. Like they're just like naturally neat human beings. I didn't really do much to make that happen, though. I don't know why they are.
Well, because I think you manifested it by the way that you are. And I think I manifested it because like I definitely was messy. I'm a total manifester. Like the apartment we lived in when the kids were little was like, it was like an escape room. I invented the escape room. And the thing is like, you know, I always believed in, I wanted to take them, have adventures and be out of the house. And that really was my thing. Like as a single mom, I worked a tremendous amount of hours and I still do. So when I get home, some people find it like really nice to clean all day long. I'm look, I make my bed and I feel like I deserve a high five.
Right. No, that makes sense. Like,
my kids have chores though. They do have chores. So they help in the house as well. So maybe I'm not as fun as you.
That's amazing that you have kids have chores. That's awesome.
No, but
I almost thought about having another baby just so I'd have somebody to clean the house. And then I remembered I'd have to change their diapers and wake up, so forget it.
You're like, never mind.
Ooh. Recently, a house near me caught fire from the clothes left out from the washing machine. Oof.
Wow. See? Wow. Anything can happen. Interesting.
Anything can happen.
I don't know.
What else can happen?
I guess.
Well, this hour went.
We have a minute left, you ladies.
Oh God. Okay, then pull those cards.
Wait, who's going first?
Wait, Kim, do you have anything else you want to say about assumptions? Any last minute salvo?
Ask a lot of questions and remember that the most important thing is to be happy. So if you're feeling content or better, it doesn't really matter. So the goal is only do the work if you're feeling unhappy.
Well, you know, it's very interesting. This is the first time when you just said that made me click all of the other agreements together. So it's like, you have to, don't assume anything. So you have to ask questions, but then you can't take it personally. And you're hoping that the other person is impeccable with their word, because if they're not, then forget about it. And then this plot is just going to twist.
Exactly.
That's what she said. Look at Frank with the number 7. Should we just go to number 7 for Frank today?
Go to 7. Go to Frank first. Yeah. Cause we've never done Frank first.
My mother, fires happen because things are too close to the furnace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
like 6. People smoking.
And smoking. Ooh, freedom, Frank.
Freedom.
That's a
Number 7,
Ooh,
freedom. That's a good one. Freedom.
That is a good one.
All right, who's going first, ladies? Tracy or Kim? Kim or Tracy? Oh,
Kim's
Kim
going
raising her.
first. Go ahead, Kim. Let's see it.
Tell me when
Let's
to
make
stop.
it happen.
Stop.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready, Kim? So if you're going with Kim as your guesser, spiritual growth.
Wow. Look at that.
She loves
better
it.
and better and better. She just keeps getting better.
And friendship. Spiritual
that's-
growth through your friendship.
I love it. See that?
Good one.
Things are
Good.
looking up, Kim.
Tracy Locke.
All right, here we
Let me know
go.
what you like.
Ready? And stop.
Okay, it's like when you're playing that game, musical chairs, and you get like that tense feeling, like
Yeah.
where you like want to grab a chair. That's what I feel like. New love, you keep getting this every week. Every week you get this card.
I know. Well, where is it? Where
You're
is
adopting
it?
a baby. Maybe
Oh,
you'll have a
yeah,
baby.
Okay, maybe.
That's
that
gonna
would
be your
fun.
new love.
Somebody just leave a baby on my doorstep, please.
And trust that they're gonna leave a baby on your
Oh,
doorstep.
Do you know what's so funny? Okay, that's just crazy that I got.
No,
the card.
come
I'll
on,
tell you
say
that.
it.
No,
Okay.
I was when I was exercising every morning when I get up and exercise, I listen to a self-help thing. I listen to something, and it was a Super Soul Sunday, and it was Oprah talking about trust. That all your fear is because you don't trust. Every fear that you have is because you don't trust in every facet of your life. If you think
I don't
about it.
trust these pants are going to fit me. I'm afraid they're not going to zip.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't trust that I can walk away from those donuts. I just don't. I just don't trust it.
Oh, I love it, Dawn. That's so sweet. She said the show makes me smile. Thank you so much.
Oh, she's so
Okay,
sweet.
here we go.
Here we go. D-Money.
The money. Focus. Oh, shocker. And
I love it. You get focused.
harmony.
Harmony.
Oh, I love harmony.
Oh, that's great. See? You're
See?
focused on harmony. That's why you don't
That's
care
right.
what they do. I love
That's it. I am focused on harmony. I'm like, whatever you guys want to do, I don't really care.
By the way, your house is on fire behind you. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. You know what? I'm sweating. You'll put it out in my armpits.
Well, this goes so fast, you guys. I love it. I look forward to it every week. I learned so much. Kim and Donna, thank you so much for
Yeah,
all of
thank
your
you.
wisdom. So good. All right. So the
I'm
next
going to
week
see
is
what
the
our
fourth-
next week is.
Yeah, the fourth agreement. It is.
Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy, opposed to sick under any circumstances. Simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. What are you going to say, Kim?
On my wall all the time. I'll do my best.
I will do my best to make the best of it.
That's great.
See
I
that,
love
you
I'm writing
guys?
it down. Can I write that down? I will do my best.
To make
Do
the
my best. To
You're welcome, Dr. Nieves. We love you. We'll see you Wednesday for our show.
yes.
Wednesday, we have Girls Gone Green.
Yes, we do.
And I have to stop assuming that my football team actually wants to win.
I think
And just accept it. Just accept the losses.
I'm going to accept it.
Let them flow. Just let them flow. Well, I can't wait
I'm
for
gonna
next
say-
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Because
I'm
do
just
your
saying
best.
thank you everyone for watching. I'm putting that in here, and don't forget to like our page and to subscribe to our YouTube page and check out our page on Facebook where Kim gives like a bountiful amount of information daily, even though we are here live together once a week. Just so you know, Kim is very generous with a lot of her lessons. And if you guys are looking to change your life, that is one easy step to take. Just click the like button on our page.
And Kim, how do people get in touch with you? Tell them one more time.
well, you could always find me on my website, which is kimmazella.com, or if you check out my Facebook page, Supercharge Your Mindset, join my Facebook page because I have a ton of information on there too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Excellent. Great job, ladies. It was awesome.
We had a great show. Let me
We
just
did.
see this. I think Frank Simon just posted a question here.
Oh,
Next week will be
Parker.
the Halloween manifestation spectacular.
There'll be
well,
chocolate involved, Frank. There will be chocolate
Well, this
involved.
week coming is not Halloween yet. So the
Oh, that's right.
Halloween Monday, maybe we'll have to figure out a special show.
Yeah.
Yeah. or a
Think about
recap of all 4. Who knows what goodies we're going to have.
Maybe we'll have real
Thank
life
you.
zombies on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll be a zombie by then. Oh, Joe Jet said, this is the first time I saw this show. It's interesting and funny, but the child in me wants Donna to read a story. Let me tell you, I'll be back.
Go, Joe Jet. Jets.
Jets. I'll be back with story time tomorrow from 10 to 11. Tomorrow's letter is W for a win. And, wish. That's right. And that is right. The Girls Gone Green are on every Wednesday. We have people advertising for us now.
I
You
know.
gotta love this.
This is great.
I know.
ladies and gentlemen.
I love this. Thank you. Let's send some love and light to everyone who needs it. You guys, we'll see you next Monday night.
Be good. Have a great week and do your best.
Halloween Saturday. I'm so
What?
confused.
What?
Is really Halloween? Is this coming Saturday?
No. What
Mom,
are you
no. I
talking
love you.
about?
Go back on your meds. Okay.
It's
Bye-bye.